Welcome to the St. Louis, Missouri Impact. Now, I wish to apologize that this is being uploaded very late. Unfortunately, I had a very difficult situation to deal with in the last couple of days, so I apologize for that. Now, this Impact was actually quite interesting. You see, if you saw my last review and I said I was not very hyped for Bound for Glory, I want to make something very clear. I didn't hate the show. It was a good show. The matches were good. I just didn't feel like they hyped up for Bound for Glory. But I also said in my comments that I do believe that with the next following weeks, we will get a much better show that will hype for Bound for Glory. I did say I've said simply that I do believe that TNA can still deliver the goods. They just didn't deliver it in that show. Now, when we look at this show was very story-driven. Now, was that story driving good for Bound for Glory? You're about to find out right now. Now, I wish to say I'm very happy that they're pushing Magnus the way they are. The match and the subsequent backstage was really towards Magnus. Even though Sting in the six-man tag against Ego was the one who got highlighted a lot, in the end, you saw Magnus take a bullet for him when it was Robert Roode who was going to hit him with the bat. But Magnus literally grabbed him, and I'm talking about Sting, to let himself take the hit instead of Sting taking the hit. Now, it sounds like Magnus isn't getting a push here, but it does sound like he does have a good potential to be pushed very hard. Now, if you make any sense out of this, what I'm saying is simple. Right now, they're gearing up for Bound for Glory. Magnus is not going to be very well spotlighted. But I do believe after Bound for Glory, we're going to see more from Magnus. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I look like. That's what it looks like right now. I think by the time we see the next themed pay-per-view Impact, and I think it's Final Resolution, will be where we'll see a really good showing from Magnus. And I'm hoping by the time of Genesis, Magnus is going to be a mainstay player. I'm hoping that he will be in the main event while dealing with AJ Styles. Now, the next thing I'm talking about, what happened with Jeff Hardy and Zane with a Magnus, oh, that was my cat, with Magnus kind of thrown into the mix as well. Seeing Zane turn dark was very good. He's become very arrogant. He's become very angry. And that's what you saw when he was having that little segment with Magnus. The match between Magnus and Hardy was very good. And I'm hoping that Hardy will be allowed to go into the main title scene for the X Division. I know people may say, dude, that's an undercard. Who wants to see him there? I do. That title is the mainstay of TNA for many years until at least 2010 to 2009. That's when it was totally dropped. If you wasn't looking at the business back then, by 9 to 2010, they really dropped the ball with the X Division. Before that, it was highlighted. It was what made TNA interesting. So seeing a Jeff Hardy get the title would actually be very good. It'll keep the title scene open for Magnus or anyone else. It will make that title look very dominant. Look, if CM Punk wins the WWE IC Championship, that will not be a bad thing for him because it'll give him something new to be fighting at. He literally will give prestige to the IC Championship. That's what I see with Jeff Hardy. If he goes after the X Division and he does win it, that will give great prestige to the X Division. It'll be spotlighted and Hardy will have some interest. They're not going to leave Hardy alone. At least if he's not going to go for the title, at least fighting for the title and losing won't be a bad thing. Now, seeing that Zane and him are going to have a challenge, I'm hoping by Bound for Glory, and we still have 4 weeks, Zane versus Jeff Hardy versus Manic for the title. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, for the tag team champions, I flat out feel sorry for them because they're not doing anything with them. Having to deal with stereotypicals again? Well, anyone dealing with stereotypicals who is in the championship title scene, who got the titles, really, I don't see anything good. And then having Chavo talk made it worse. Chavo is marginally good as a heel. As a face, he really sucks. As a face talking, he's even worse. So when we have a Gunner versus a Superman, I didn't really see any interest there. There's a good chance they're going to keep doing this because there's no one else for them to challenge. Ego is busy doing something else. Unless what's going to happen with Joseph Park and Eric Young, and I'll get to them in a minute, with Bromance, there's no one else for them to challenge. I'm very disappointed in TNA and what they did with Gunner and Storm. They deserve better. I just hope they'll give us something more after Bound for Glory. Now, since I talked about those four, I'm going to talk about what happened after what happened with ODB and Mickie Jane. And I'm doing that separate. This entire situation between Bromance, Eric Young, is only to drive the plot for Abyss to come back. That's all I see here. People still like Joseph Park. St. Louis, Missouri enjoyed Joseph Park. They still like him. And what the hell was he drinking? Chocolate milk? But the point of the matter is this. We want to see Abyss come back. He's been gone for more than a year now. More than a year. And it's a good time that he could start being shown back again. That's what I see this happening. I know that going very slow with this, there's not enough time for Joseph Park to show more of Abyss, but this could be the catalyst for it. If Eric Young and Joseph Park are going to be dealing with Bromance, sooner or later we're going to see more of Abyss. And that's what I hope for. The matches those guys went through were very short, sweet and to the point. Thank you. I didn't want to see that dragged out, and I'm glad it didn't get dragged out. And then seeing a choke slam and a black hole slam just made it all right. And I said before, and I'll say it again. When Abyss comes back, you're going to see Eric Young there as the plot device for it. Just like what happened with Kane showing his face with a Rob Van Dam. That's the way I see it. And that's it. Now, when it comes to the match that got me upset, I have redone this so many times because I got upset what happened with Mickie Jane. Look, I love a Mickie Jane. I didn't mention nothing about Velvet Sky when it came to Sabin and Jeff Hardy. Velvet Sky looked fucking hot in that nice blue dress. But if I had a choice between a Velvet Sky and a Mickie Jane, and I know big boobs look good, I would pick the Mickie Jane because she pretty much has almost everything I want. She's intelligent, she's beautiful, she just has it for me. As a wrestler in this business, in TNA, Mickie Jane is the best person they have in TNA right now. She has the look of being incredibly sexy. She has charisma. She has the in-ring presence. She can do great work. And she can talk way better than a Velvet Sky. No matter if you like Velvet, you have to admit Mickie Jane does a better in-ring work, has better in-ring presence, cuts a better promo than she does. And knowing now that she probably is left due to the fact the contract wasn't negotiated right. In other words, maybe she wanted more money. TNA has been dropping people, and she's going, you know what? I don't need this. She didn't want to renegotiate the contract the way they wanted, so she's left, which really leaves a big hole in... Look, you have 4 women now that Mickie Jane is probably gone. And 2 of those women are in their own storylines with men. So that leaves you only 2 women left, because Terrence Terrell isn't back yet after her pregnancy. She's not back yet. I don't know if she even gave birth yet. She's probably maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 7 months in. She ain't coming back yet. So you only have ODB and Gail Kim. How the hell are you going to run the knockouts that way? Unless they hire some women, or maybe they let Christy Hemme start wrestling again. They got nobody. Unless they start bringing people from OVW or bringing people in who is from the independents. You got shit. I would hope they bring back an Awesome Kong. Bring back an Angelina Love. I don't give a damn. Bring back Winter. Shit, we need some people there. As much as it sounds like a Winter doesn't need to be there, and I'm not saying anything about a Madison Rayne. I don't even want to deal with Madison. She wasn't that great. We need women back. The match I don't even want to care about talking about because it just felt empty for me. Knowing that she's not there anymore hurts my feelings. It breaks my heart to know that a Mickie James gone. You can say a lot about Tara, but she was good enough to do the business. She had the ability as a face or a heel, and we don't have neither. We have almost no one in knockouts, so it just upset me, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, when it comes to the Aces and Eight. Aces and Eight, simply, I've said this earlier for months upon months, that there was going to be a conflict between a Mr. Anderson and a Bully Ray, and there was going to be division between Aces and Eights. Now, the problem is this, and I didn't state this, but the Sleg Daddy, I'm sure, NJ, and Fool Killer, all three of them have said this in some form or fashion, that Mr. Anderson in the last couple of weeks before he's been taken off TV was doing great. Now, the problem I didn't see that is because of my hatred for the Aces and Eights so much, I didn't want to see the good work Mr. Anderson was doing. So I wish to apologize to everyone for that, for not stating it, because of my anger for this. Because I've hated Aces and Eights for so long, I couldn't see the good work he was doing. Now, at this moment in time, he's not there right now, but when you look at the in-ring segment between the remaining 4 members, not counting a Brooke Tessmacher, the person who did the best in-ring work, who spoke, was not Bully Ray, was not Garrett Bischoff, but I can say this, between Wes and Garrett, Wes Bischoff looked way more relaxed and sounded a lot more understandable than a Wes Briscoe. And that's saying a lot. I don't like Garrett, but when you look at Wes Briscoe, it's not because he's muscled out and he has a small waist that makes him look stiff. It's just his plain attitude. It is. You can say a lot about a lot of guys who are big and muscular, but as long as they feel relaxed and could at least do good work when they talk, they can make up for the big bulkiness that can make them look stiff as a fucking piece of steel. Wes Briscoe doesn't look like he belongs into wrestling. He just does not have that type of presence. He's too stiff. It's not because he's big and muscular. He just gives it off. He's like this in the ring, and it's not because he's got big muscles. He's just a very, very stiff and awkward person. He looked better before he came into TNA than he does now. He looks too stiff. The person who did the best promo segment was Mike Knox. And that's shocking. A guy who has barely managed to talk because they don't let him talk. He's a jobber, but when this jobber managed to be allowed to talk, he sounded better than basically Wes, Garrett, and Bully Ray. And that's saying a lot about Bully Ray. I know he does great promos, but in this case, I felt that Knox was better. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean Mike Knox is going to have a conflict with Bully Ray? Yes. But I also believe this. When you look at the Nexus back in 2010 with the WWE, when it failed, what did they do? They threw several members of Nexus onto SmackDown and turned it into the core. That's what I see is about to happen here. I feel that possibly with Mr. Anderson as their leader or Mike Knox, these members are going to branch off into another group. Because of what just happened that Mike Knox said, you want to fight? Come on, come on. That makes me think that now they've imploded. But it doesn't mean that it's over. It just means that Brooke Tessmacher is now with Bully Ray. And the remaining bits of Aces and Eights are going to reform themselves into something entirely different. Is that good? No. We might get lucky that Garrett and West may get released and we'll be able to keep Mike Knox. I know it's saying a lot, saying that Mike Knox should be the best talent between those three, but he is. As he may not be great, but he's much better than the other two. So, the last thing I'm talking about is AJ Styles and Dixie Carter. I can say this, and the Slug Daddy said it best. For the last 3 years at least, TNA has screwed AJ Styles over in real life. They have not treated him right. They gave him terrible storylines. And literally it brought the show down instead of sticking with the formula that they had for many years. You can say a lot about Jeff Jarrett, and I know a lot of people don't like him, the Slug Daddy. I know, like that, you know. That's one of the things people loved about the Slug Daddy. But when you look at the truth of TNA, as much as you may think that and have known that Jeff Jarrett only wanted to make that show to get himself over, he structured it enough that the show was good enough that it could get done. And at this moment in time, TNA has gone so far away from the original, how can I say this? The formula they had was not perfect. They don't believe they even come close to reaching even a tenth of WWE's capability. But I can say this. There were parts of that was so innovative and was so good in foundation that they could have kept it. And they threw that away. They tried to reform TNA into another WCW or something of a taste of an ECW or a WWE light, like the Slug Daddy said. And the person who they really needed to keep the mainstay of is AJ Styles. And they didn't do that with him. They done so bad with AJ. I wouldn't blame him for leaving now. But the way that he's done this segment at the end of the show, I felt was more of a shoot than it was of a work. Of course, there had to be some work in it because of what happened with Dixie later. But talking about low-key, talking about, oh man, see it like this. Jay Lethal was a great X Division champion, and they threw his ass out. They got a lot of people in there that could have done well. They got rid of Petey Williams. When I said Petey Williams was really good, that he should be a contender for the X Division Championship and should have won it, they didn't do that. A lot of people that they should have been pushing. Look, Kenny King, the man I always say, long live the king, baby, is barely been seen. Nothing of him. They could be doing better, and they haven't. So I really believe this was more of a shoot than it was a work. And I liked how he talked, saying, I am not even under contract, but I'm going to win this championship and show you what the originals have done for this company. I'm going to bring it out of the dirt for you. And when Dixie Carter came in and she acted really dark, it wasn't that great. But seeing, in a sense, you got here a very, very mild form of an Attitude Era, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and Steve Austin, the Rattlesnake. That's how I feel it. This is kind of like a light taste of it. Do I believe this is going to get over? I don't know. It's going to count in the next couple of weeks. But if I'm right about this, this could help TNA boost its ratings. In actuality, when Bound for Glory comes around, it could actually get some good market shares. But it's going to depend in the next 4 weeks how they structure this. I wasn't totally hyped last week about Bound for Glory. The way they structured the show, it really wasn't really driving Bound for Glory in any particular match. But these storylines they've been doing lately might give us something that we could be interested in Bound for Glory. But I'm not going to say I'm totally hyped for it yet. I see something interesting in a AJ Styles with a Dixie Carter type of angle. But I'm not going to know until the next maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks just before Bound for Glory. So how do I rate this show? A B-. I can't say it was a great show. But I can say some things were done storyline-wise that was very intriguing. I'm just hoping they progress it more and make it better in the next couple of weeks. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View, and subscribe and comment to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. And I'm sorry, like I said again, I really had some things that were very important I had to take care of. I'll do my best in the next couple of weeks to get that sorted out, but I have some more stuff to do. So I hope you understand, and have a good night.